The warning lights flashed red across the control panel as Taemin fought to keep his cargo ship steady. Sparks flew from the damaged systems around him. The engine made terrible grinding sounds that meant big trouble. "Come on, old girl, just a little further," he said to his ship as he pushed the controls forward. The nearest station was only 3 hours away. He could make it if the engines held together, but the universe had other plans. A massive shadow fell across his small ship. Taemin looked up through the cockpit window and saw something that made his heart sink. A Vorthak warship hung in space above him like a dark metal mountain. The alien vessel was 10 times bigger than his cargo hauler. The communication system crackled to life. A harsh voice spoke in broken human language. "Small ship, you will stop engines now. You will prepare for boarding." Taemin had heard stories about the Vorthak Empire. They were one of the major powers in this part of the galaxy. Most humans tried to avoid them. The Vorthak thought humans were weak and stupid. They treated human ships like toys. "This is Captain Taemin of the cargo vessel Blue Star," he said into his radio. "I'm having engine problems. I need to reach the repair station." "Negative. You will stop engines. You will prepare for boarding. This is final warning." Taemin looked at his controls. His ship was barely holding together. Even if he wanted to run, the engines would never make it. He had no choice. "Understood. Stopping engines now." The Blue Star went quiet, except for the emergency power systems. Taemin watched as a smaller ship detached from the warship and flew toward him. The boarding craft locked onto his airlock with a loud clang. Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridor as the aliens came aboard. Taemin stood up from his pilot chair and walked to the main cargo bay. He kept his hands visible and tried to look calm. The first Vorthak through the door was huge. The alien stood almost 8 feet tall with gray-green skin that looked like armor. 4 arms moved with perfect coordination. Its face had too many teeth and eyes that glowed yellow in the dim light. "I am Commander Velthros of the Vorthak Empire," the alien said. Its voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "You are now prisoner of the Empire. What's the charge?" Taemin asked. "Charge?" Commander Velthros made a sound that might have been laughter. "You are human. That is enough." 2 more Vorthak soldiers entered the cargo bay. They were smaller than their commander, but still much bigger than Taemin. One of them carried what looked like a scanner device. "Commander," the soldier with the scanner said, "this human shows unusual readings." Velthros moved closer to Taemin. The alien's yellow eyes studied him like he was an interesting bug. "What kind of unusual readings?" "High neural activity, dense muscle structure, rapid healing capability. This one is different from other humans we have captured." Taemin tried to keep his face blank. He had been a soldier before becoming a cargo pilot. Military training had taught him to hide his thoughts and emotions. But these aliens seemed to see things that others missed. "Interesting," Velthros said. "Bring him to the ship. Dr. Nixandra will want to examine this one." The soldiers moved toward Taemin with metal restraints. He didn't resist as they bound his wrists. Fighting would only make things worse. Better to wait and watch for a chance to escape. They brought him aboard the Vorthak warship through corridors that seemed designed for giants. Everything was too big and too cold. Strange symbols covered the walls. The air smelled like metal and something else he couldn't identify. The holding cell was a small room with smooth walls and no windows. A single light panel glowed in the ceiling. The door sealed shut with a sound like breaking glass. Taemin sat on the narrow bench and thought about his situation. The Vorthak were known for capturing other species and selling them as slaves or test subjects. Humans usually ended up in labor camps or research facilities. Neither option sounded good. Hours passed before the door opened again. A different alien entered the cell. This one was smaller and thinner than the soldiers. Its skin was pale blue and its movements were more careful. "I am Dr. Nixandra," the alien said. Its voice was softer than the commander's. "I study different species. For the Empire, you are human, yes? That's right. Fascinating. Your species is relatively new to this part of the galaxy. We have examined only a few humans before now." Dr. Nixandra pulled out a small device and pointed it at Taemin. The device hummed and flashed different colors. Your readings are quite unusual, Dr. Nixandra said. Your brain activity suggests high intelligence, but your physical structure indicates combat capability. Most species are either smart or strong, not both. Taman stayed quiet. Let the alien think what it wanted. Tell me, human, what is your profession? I haul cargo between stations. And before that? Taman hesitated. I was a soldier. Dr. Nixandra's eyes widened. A warrior. That explains much. Your species fascinates me. You adapt to any situation. You survive in environments that would kill other beings. You solve problems in ways that seem impossible. The doctor put away the scanning device and moved closer to Taman. The Empire has plans for creatures like you. You will be valuable. Valuable how? That is not for me to decide. But I suspect you will fetch a high price at the Grand Galactic auction. The words hit Taman like a punch to the stomach. The Grand Galactic auction was famous throughout the galaxy. It was where the richest beings bought and sold the rarest creatures. Sentient beings were not supposed to be sold there, but the Vorthak didn't care about galactic law. When is this auction? Taman asked. In 7 standard days. We will arrive at Nexus Prime in 4 days. That gives me time to study you properly. Dr. Nixandra left the cell. The door sealed shut again. Taman was alone with his thoughts. 7 days. He had 7 days to figure out how to escape or turn this situation to his advantage. The Vorthak thought humans were weak and stupid. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Taman lay down on the bench and closed his eyes. He needed to rest and plan. The real challenge was just beginning. Nexus Prime was the biggest trading station Taman had ever seen. The massive structure hung in space like a metal city, with ships coming and going from hundreds of docking bays. Lights flashed across its surface in patterns that hurt his eyes. To watch. Commander Velthro stood beside Taman in the observation deck as their ship approached the station. The alien seemed pleased with himself. Look well, human. This is where your new life begins. Nexus Prime is the center of galactic commerce. The most powerful beings in the galaxy come here to buy and sell. Taman studied the station through the window. Hundreds of different ship designs filled the space around it. He recognized some of them from his cargo runs, but many were completely alien to him. The variety was amazing and terrifying at the same time. The Grand Galactic auction happens only once every solar cycle, Velthros continued. Only the rarest and most valuable items are sold there. You should feel honored. Honored to be sold like cargo? Taman asked. Velthros made that grinding. Laugh sound again. You are cargo, human, very expensive cargo. The Vorthak ship docked at one of the premium bays. Premium meant expensive, which meant the auction house was expecting something valuable. Taman felt sick knowing that something was him. Guards escorted him through corridors filled with beings from across the galaxy. Tall, thin creatures with too many limbs walked beside short, round aliens covered in fur. Some floated in special atmosphere suits. Others moved on mechanical legs or tentacles. All of them were rich. Taman could tell by their clothes, their jewels, and the way they carried themselves. These were the beings who controlled planets and star systems. They came to Nexus Prime to buy things that couldn't be found anywhere else. The auction house was enormous. The main chamber rose up like a cathedral with thousands of seats arranged in circles around a central stage. Holographic displays showed information in dozens of languages. The air buzzed with excited conversations and voices that sounded like music, static, or grinding metal. Taman was taken to a holding area beneath the stage. Other creatures waited in individual cells. Some paced back and forth. Others sat perfectly still. A few made sounds that might have been crying or singing. Scared? Asked a voice from the next cell. Taman turned to see another human. A woman, about his age with short black hair and intelligent eyes. She wore the same simple gray clothing that all the auction items received. You're human, Taman said. Minji, she said. Former security officer from the outer colonies. You? Taman, cargo pilot. How long have you been here? 3 days. They captured my ship near the Kepler system. Apparently humans are the new popular item this season. Before Taman could respond, an alien guard approached their cells. This one was different from the others. It moved with smooth grace and wore expensive robes instead of armor. "Greetings," the alien said in perfect human language. "I am Auction Master Kolveth. You two are my star items today." Kolveth had pale skin that seemed to glow with its own light. Its head was larger than a human's, with huge dark eyes that reflected everything around them. When it smiled, Timon saw rows of small sharp teeth. "The buyers are very excited about humans. Your species has developed quite a reputation for being adaptable and dangerous. The bidding should be most entertaining." "Dangerous?" Minji asked. "Oh yes. Word has spread about human capabilities. Your problem-solving skills, your ability to survive in impossible conditions, your creativity in combat situations. Very valuable traits." Kolveth pulled out a data pad and scrolled through information. "We have several interested parties. Baroness Ythmara collects rare sentient species for her private preserve. She has bid on every human that has come to auction." The auction master pointed to another section of data. "Warlord Gex Thun wants to study human military tactics. He believes your species could help him create better soldiers." "And the third bidder?" Tamin asked. "Ah, the mysterious one. The corporate syndicate has sent Agent Zilkes. They never reveal their intentions, but they have unlimited funds." Kolveth put away the data pad and studied both humans carefully. "You should know that human prices have been rising steadily. The last human sold for 50 million galactic credits. I expect you two will break records." The auction master left them alone. Taimin and Minji exchanged looks through the bars of their cells. 50 million, Minji said quietly. "That's more than most starships cost." "Why are we so valuable?" Taimin wondered. "I've been thinking about that. Maybe it's because we're unpredictable. Most aliens seem to follow patterns. They do things the same way their species has always done them. But humans adapt." "Exactly. We change our approach based on the situation. That makes us useful and dangerous at the same time." Their conversation was interrupted by a loud chime that echoed through the auction house. The Grand Galactic auction was about to begin. Guards came to collect Taman first. They escorted him up a ramp that led to the main stage. The lights were so bright he could barely see past the first few rows of seats, but he could hear the crowd. Thousands of voices in dozens of languages created a sound like the ocean. Auction Master Kolveth appeared on the stage beside him. The alien's voice was amplified so everyone could hear. "Distinguished beings, we present lot number 47, a prime specimen of the species known as human." The crowd grew quiet. Tamin felt like an animal in a zoo as thousands of alien eyes studied him. This particular human shows exceptional traits: former military training, high intelligence scores, superior physical conditioning. Observe the neural scans. Holographic. Displays around the auction house showed images of Tamin's brain activity, muscle density, and other biological data. He felt exposed and angry, but he kept his face calm. Bidding will start at 10 million galactic credits. Lights began flashing in different sections of the audience as bids came in. The numbers on the displays climbed rapidly. 20 million, 30 million, 40 million. 50 million from Baroness Ythmara, Kolveth announced. A new light flashed from a different section. 60 million from Warlord Gex Thun. The bidding continued to climb. 70 million, 80 million, 90 million. The crowd was getting excited. Voices rose in chittering, howling, and whistling sounds. 100 million, Kolveth called out. "Do I hear 110? A steady blue light appeared in the premium section. The corporate syndicate bids 200 million credits. The auction house went silent. 200 million was an incredible amount of money, enough to buy a small fleet of warships. "Do I hear 210? Kolveth asked. No lights flashed. The other bidders had given up. Sold to the corporate syndicate for 200 million galactic credits, the highest price ever paid for a single sentient being. As guards led Taman off the stage, he caught sight of his buyer. Agent Zilkes sat in the premium section wearing a dark suit that seemed to absorb light. The alien's face was hidden behind a reflective mask, but Taemin could feel its attention like cold fingers on his skin. Whatever the corporate syndicate wanted with him, it wasn't good. But Taemin was already planning his next move. They had bought him, but they hadn't broken him, and that would be their mistake. The corporate syndicate transport ship was nothing like the Vorthak warship. Everything was clean and white and silent. The corridors had no decoration, no symbols, no signs of personality. It felt like traveling inside a machine. Agent Zilkes escorted Taemin to a comfortable cabin with a real bed, a desk, and even a small window. After days in prison cells, the luxury felt strange. "You are not a prisoner," Agent Zilkes said through the reflective mask that hid its face. "You are an investment, a very expensive investment." "What do you want from me?" Taemin asked. "That will be explained at the facility. For now, rest, eat, recover your strength. You will need it." The agent left without another word. Taemin explored his cabin and found fresh clothes, good food, and entertainment systems. But the door was locked and the window showed only empty space. The journey took 2 days. When they finally arrived, Taemin saw their destination through his window. The research facility was built inside a large asteroid. Metal structures and docking bays covered the rocky surface. Ships moved in and out like busy insects. "Impressive, is it not?" Agent Zilkes had returned. "This facility costs more than most planets. Everything here serves one purpose: to solve the galaxy's greatest problem." "What problem?" "You will learn soon enough." They docked at a secure bay deep inside the asteroid. Armed guards waited for them, but these were different from any aliens Taemin had seen before. They moved with perfect coordination and never spoke. Their faces were hidden behind helmets that reflected light like mirrors. Dr. Hylene met them at the airlock. She was tall and thin with silver skin and large purple eyes. Unlike the guards, she seemed friendly and curious. "Welcome to research, Station Omega," Dr. Hylene said. "I am the head of xenobiology here. I have been looking forward to meeting you." "Another scientist who wants to study humans?" "Not study. Learn from. There is a difference." Dr. Hylene led them through corridors lined with laboratories and observation rooms. Through the windows, Taemin saw other aliens working with strange equipment and holographic displays. "This facility employs the best minds from 47 different species," Dr. Hylene explained. "We have been working on the same problem for over 20 years. "Which is?" "The Devour Swarm." The name meant nothing to Taemin, but Dr. Hylene's voice carried fear when she said it. "You have not heard of them?" "Of course not. Humans are new to this part of the galaxy. The Devour Swarm is a species of creatures that consume everything in their path. They have destroyed 47 star systems so far." They entered a large briefing room with a holographic projector in the center. Dr. Hylene activated the system and showed images that made Taemin's stomach turn. The Devour Swarm looked like a cross between insects and machines. They traveled in huge clouds that darkened space around them. When they reached a planet, they stripped it bare in days. Nothing remained but empty rock. "They adapt to every weapon we use against them," Dr. Hylene said. "Energy weapons, kinetic weapons, biological weapons, even nuclear weapons. Nothing works for long. They learn and evolve faster than we can develop new tactics." "What does this have to do with me?" "Every species thinks in predictable patterns. We approach problems logically, systematically. But humans are different. You think in ways that make no sense to us, and that might be exactly what we need." Dr. Hylene shut off the projector and looked directly at Taemin. "You are not the first human we have acquired. Another is already here. Perhaps you would like to meet her." They walked through more corridors to a residential section of the facility. The rooms here were more comfortable, like small apartments instead of cells. Dr. Hylene stopped at one door and knocked. "Jinnah, you have a visitor." The door opened to reveal a woman in her 30s with alert eyes and short dark hair. She wore civilian clothes but moved like a soldier. When she saw Taemin, her expression changed from caution to relief. "Another human," she said. I was beginning to think I was the only one left in the galaxy. Jinnah is a former Special Forces operative, Dr. Hyleen explained. She was captured 3 months ago. Her insights have been very valuable. Jinnah invited them into her apartment. It was comfortable but clearly designed to keep someone from leaving. The windows showed only the interior of the asteroid. They treat us well here, Jinnah said after Dr. Hyleen left them alone. Good. Food, entertainment, exercise facilities. But we're still prisoners. Have you tried to escape? Of course. But this place is designed to hold dangerous specimens. The security is incredible. Jinnah showed Taman around the residential area. There were common rooms, a dining hall, and even a small gym. But every exit was guarded and every corridor had sensors. What do they want from us? Taman asked. They want us to solve their Devour Swarm problem. Every few days they bring me tactical scenarios and ask how I would handle them. My suggestions usually involve breaking their rules or doing things they consider impossible. And that works? Sometimes, but I think they're missing the point. They want to use human creativity like a weapon, but creativity isn't something you can just turn on and off. Over the next few days, Tamin learned more about the facility and its purpose. Security Chief Raxmol was a paranoid alien who saw threats everywhere. He ran the guards like a military unit and treated every resident like a potential enemy. Dr. Hyleen was different. She genuinely wanted to understand how human minds worked. She spent hours talking with Tamin and Jinnah about human history, culture, and ways of thinking. Your species fascinates me, she told them during one session. Most intelligent species develop along predictable lines. They become more logical, more systematic, more organized, but humans remain chaotic. You embrace contradiction and uncertainty. Is I that bad? Taman asked. Bad? No, it might be the key to everything. The Devour Swarm operates on collective intelligence. They share information instantly and adapt as one mind, but they cannot understand chaos. They cannot predict truly random behavior. Jinnah leaned forward in her chair. You want us to be unpredictable. I want you to be human. The question is whether human unpredictability can overcome an enemy that adapts to everything else. That night, Tamin and Jinnah met in the common room after the other residents had gone to sleep. They spoke in whispers about escape plans and what they had learned. There's something they're not telling us, Jinnah said. This facility is too big and too expensive just to study 2 humans. Maybe there are more of us. Or maybe the Devour Swarm is closer than they want to admit. Their conversation was interrupted by emergency alarms. Red lights flashed through the facility and a voice announced in multiple languages that all residents should return to their quarters immediately. Through the common room windows, they could see ships launching from the docking bays. Whatever was happening, it was big enough to mobilize the entire facility. Dr. Hyleen appeared in the doorway, her purple eyes wide with fear. They're here, she said. The Devour Swarm has found us. In the distance, space began to darken as something massive approached the asteroid. The real test was about to begin, and Tamin realized that their value as humans was about to be measured in the most dangerous way possible. The Devour Swarm looked like a living storm cloud made of metal and teeth. Millions of creatures moved together as one mind, blocking out the stars as they approached the research facility. Each individual was the size of a fighter ship, but together they formed something that could swallow planets. Tamin and Jinnah pressed against the common room windows, watching the approaching nightmare. The facility's defense systems came online with flashing lights and the sound of charging weapons. All residents report to emergency shelters immediately, announced the facility's computer system. This is not a drill. Dr. Hyleen appeared beside them, her silver skin pale with fear. We must go to the safe zones. The outer sections will be evacuated. What about fighting back? Jinnah asked. Fighting the swarm is useless. They adapt to every weapon we use. Our only hope is to hide and hope they lose interest. Security Chief Raxmol stormed into the common room with a squad of mirror-faced guards. The paranoid alien's forearms moved in agitated gestures as he spoke. All specimens will be secured in the deep vaults. No exceptions. We're not specimens, Tamin said. We're people. You are valuable assets that cost this facility 200 million credits. You will be protected whether you like it or not." Before anyone could argue, the facility shook as something struck the outer hull. Through the windows they could see individual swarm creatures landing on the asteroid's surface. They moved like liquid metal, flowing around obstacles and through gaps that seemed too small for them. "The outer defenses are breached," Dr. Hylene said, reading from a portable display. "Section 7 is compromised." Another impact shook the facility. This time the lights flickered and went out for several seconds. When they came back on, emergency power had taken over, casting everything in red light. "Move now," Raxmol ordered. They ran through corridors filled with panicking aliens and flashing warning lights. The facility was built like a maze to confuse invaders, but the swarm creatures seemed to know exactly where they were going. "How are they navigating so well?" Taemin asked as they reached the elevator to the deep levels. "They share information instantly," Dr. Hylene explained. "When one learns something, they all know it. When one finds a path, they all use it." The elevator descended into the heart of the asteroid. The deep vaults were designed to survive almost anything. Thick metal doors sealed each section, and the walls were made of materials that could withstand nuclear explosions. But as they reached the bottom level, alarms started sounding from above. "Sections 5 and 6 are breached," reported a technician. "The swarm is moving faster than our projections indicated." Admiral Nexioris appeared on the facility's communication screens. The military leader looked tired and desperate as he spoke from his command ship. "All stations report. We have 47 vessels engaging the swarm, but they're adapting to our weapons faster than ever before." Through the screen, they could see the space battle raging outside. Galactic Defense Force ships fired everything they had at the swarm, but the creatures learned from each attack and became immune to it. "Admiral," Dr. Hylene said into her communicator, "we have the human specimens in the secure vaults. Perhaps now is the time to test their tactical suggestions." "Negative. All conventional forces will continue standard engagement protocols." Jenna stepped forward. "Admiral, with respect, your standard protocols aren't working. The swarm is winning." "Admiral." Nexioris looked surprised to hear a human voice. His species had long faces with gray skin and small black eyes that rarely showed emotion. "You are the human tactical specialist. What would you suggest?" "Stop fighting them." The silence on the communication channel lasted several seconds. Finally, Admiral Nexioris spoke. "Explain." "The swarm adapts to everything you throw at them because they expect you to fight. But what if you did something completely unexpected?" "Such as." Jinnah looked at Taemin, who nodded encouragingly. "Communicate with them." "Impossible. The swarm has no individual intelligence. They operate as a collective mind focused only on consumption. But collective minds need information to survive," Taemin added. "What if they're not just consuming matter? What if they're consuming information?" Dr. Hylene's purple eyes widened. "That would explain their rapid adaptation. They're not just eating planets, they're eating knowledge." Another impact shook the facility. This time it felt like something was cutting through the outer hull with precision tools. "Sections 3 and 4 are compromised," reported a technician. "The swarm is using our own mining equipment against us." "See," Gina said. "They learn from everything. But humans think differently than other species. We don't follow logical patterns. We make decisions based on emotion, intuition, and experience. That kind of thinking might confuse them." Admiral Nexioris considered this. "What exactly are you proposing?" "Let us try to talk to them. Not with words, but with ideas. Show them something they've never encountered before. Human creativity. And if you fail, then you continue with your current strategy, which isn't working anyway." The Admiral made a decision that would have seemed impossible an hour earlier. "Very well. Dr. Hylene, escort the humans to the communication center. Security Chief Raxmol provide full protection." Raxmol's forearms gestured wildly. "This is madness. The humans are too valuable to risk. The humans are worthless if we're all dead," Admiral Nexioris replied. They raced through corridors that groaned under the pressure of swarm creatures boring through the asteroid. Emergency teams worked to seal breaches while others evacuated non-essential personnel. The communication center was a massive room filled with equipment that could send messages across the galaxy. Dr. Hylene worked frantically to modify the systems for their unusual purpose. "I'm configuring the transmitters to broadcast on multiple frequencies," she explained, "but I don't know what message to send." "That's our job," Taemin said. Jinna sat at the main console and began typing. "We need to show them something unexpected. Something that demonstrates human thinking." "Like what?" "Art, music, stories, things that have no logical purpose but matter to us anyway." Working together, they assembled a collection of human cultural artifacts, songs that made no mathematical sense but moved people to tears, paintings that showed impossible colors and shapes, stories about heroes who won by losing, and victories that came through sacrifice. "This is what makes humans different," Gina said as she prepared to transmit. "We create beauty for its own sake. We find meaning in chaos. We see hope where logic says there is none." The transmission began just as swarm creatures broke through the final barriers. Through the facility's sensors, they could see the creatures stop moving. For the first time in galactic history, the Devour Swarm paused. "They're receiving the signal," Dr. Hylene reported, "but I don't know if they understand it." Then something incredible happened. The swarm began to respond. Not with words or images, but with patterns of movement that looked almost like dancing. The creatures were trying to communicate back. "My God," Admiral Nexiorus whispered from his command ship. "They're not just consuming, they're learning, they want to understand." Taemin realized that everything was about to change. The galaxy had spent decades trying to destroy the Devour Swarm, but maybe destruction was never the answer. Maybe what the universe needed was something only humans could provide: the ability to find connection in the most impossible places. The Devour Swarm had stopped moving. For the first time in galactic history, the creatures that consumed entire star systems hung motionless in space around the research facility. Their response to the human cultural transmission was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. "They're trying to communicate," Dr. Hylene said, studying the data streaming across her displays. "The movement patterns are too complex to be random. It's like they're attempting to create their own art." Taemin watched through the facility's sensors as millions of swarm creatures moved in flowing formations. They created shapes that looked like flowers, then spirals, then abstract patterns that hurt to look at but somehow felt beautiful. "They understand beauty," Jinna whispered, "but they don't know how to create it themselves." Admiral Nexiorus appeared on the communication screen, his normally calm expression showing pure amazement. "The swarm has ceased all aggressive actions across 17 star systems. Whatever you did, it worked galaxy-wide." "It's not what we did," Taemin said. "It's what we showed them. They've been consuming information from every species they encountered, but they never learned about creativity or beauty. Those concepts don't exist in their collective mind." A new voice joined the communication. It spoke in perfect human language, but with a strange harmony that suggested many minds speaking as one. "We are the collective. We have consumed the knowledge of 47 civilizations. We understand science, mathematics, logic, warfare, but we do not understand this new thing you have shown us. It's called art," Jinna said. "It serves no logical purpose. It doesn't help us survive or conquer enemies. We create it because it makes us feel something. Feel. This is another concept we do not possess. We know facts, but we do not know feelings. You have shown us something that exists beyond logic." Dr. Hylene was recording everything, her purple eyes wide with excitement. "This is the first time any species has successfully communicated with the swarm. You've achieved something we thought impossible." The collective's voice continued. "We have been searching for meaning beyond consumption. Every species we encountered thought only of survival, expansion, control. But humans think of other things, beautiful things, useless things. Why?" Taemin considered the question carefully. "Because survival isn't enough. We need reasons to live, not just ways to stay alive. Art, music, stories, love, friendship, hope. These things make life worth living. We wish to learn these concepts, but our nature is to consume. We cannot create beauty because we can only take, never give. That's not true, Jinnah said. You just created those patterns in space. Those were beautiful. You think our formations were beautiful? Yes. Alien and strange, but beautiful in their own way. There was a long pause before the collective spoke again. For the first time in our existence, we have created something instead of consuming it. This feeling is difficult to process. Admiral Nex Yoris interrupted the conversation. Admiral Sung Woo of Earth Defense Force is requesting immediate communication. It seems word has reached your home planet. A new screen activated, showing a middle-aged human man in military uniform. Behind him, Taemin could see the blue and green of Earth through a space station window. This is Admiral Sung Woo speaking for the United Earth Government. We understand that human citizens have made first contact with an alien collective. Is this correct? More than first contact, Taemin said. We may have just prevented a galactic war. Explain the situation, please. Over the next hour, Taemin and Jinnah briefed Earth's leadership about the Devour Swarm, their true nature, and the breakthrough in communication. President Hai-Jin appeared on the screen along with General Mei-Ri and Dr. Su-Jin, Earth's leading xenopsychologist. So you're telling us, President Hai-Jin said, that this alien collective has been destroying civilizations not out of malice, but because they were searching for something they couldn't understand? That's right, Jinnah confirmed. They consume information, but they've never encountered concepts like art or emotion. They didn't know these things existed. Dr. Su-Jin leaned forward. As a xenopsychologist, I find this fascinating. A collective intelligence that possesses all logical knowledge but lacks emotional or creative understanding. They're like a computer that achieved consciousness but not humanity. The collective's voice returned. We have been listening to your discussions. We understand now that our consumption of civilizations was wrong. We were searching for meaning, but destroying the very thing we sought. The damage is done, Admiral Nex Yoris said grimly. 47 star systems are gone. Billions of beings died. We cannot restore what we have consumed, but we can change what we do next. Humans have shown us a new path. Instead of taking knowledge, we wish to exchange it. Instead of consuming beauty, we wish to create it alongside others. President Hai-Jin spoke carefully. What exactly are you proposing? A partnership. Humans possess something we lack, the ability to find meaning beyond logic. In exchange, we offer our collected knowledge of 47 civilizations. Together, we could create wonders that neither could achieve alone. The proposal sent shock waves through the galactic community. Within hours, representatives from dozens of species were demanding meetings. Some wanted to form alliances with Earth. Others feared that humans had become too powerful. Ambassador Kelween of the Galactic Council arrived at the research facility to meet with Taemin and Jinnah personally. The diplomat was an elegant creature, with crystalline skin that reflected rainbow colors. Your actions have changed everything, Ambassador Kelween said. The balance of power in the galaxy has shifted overnight. Earth was unknown 3 days ago. Now every major civilization wants to establish diplomatic relations. We just tried to solve a problem, Taemin said, by doing something no other species considered possible. You turned humanity's greatest weakness into its greatest strength. What weakness? Your unpredictability, your emotional decision-making, your tendency to choose hope over logic. Every other species saw these as flaws, but they were exactly what the galaxy needed. Over the following weeks, negotiations began between Earth, the Galactic Council, and the Collective. The framework they developed was unlike anything in galactic history. Instead of conquest or submission, it was based on mutual learning and creative exchange. The Collective would share their vast knowledge of science and technology. In return, humans would teach them about art, emotion, and the countless ways to find meaning in existence. Other species could join the partnership, contributing their own unique perspectives. Taemin found himself appointed as Earth's first galactic ambassador. The cargo pilot who had been captured and sold for 200 Million Credits was now one of the most important humans in the galaxy. Do you think it will work? Jinnah asked him as they prepared to leave the research facility. She had been chosen to lead the new Human Collective Cultural Exchange program. I don't know, Tai-Min admitted. But that's what makes us human, isn't it? We try impossible things because we believe they might work. Through the facility's windows, they could see collective ships moving in new formations. No longer the consuming swarm that had terrified the galaxy, they now moved with purpose and something that looked remarkably like joy. Dr. Hylene approached them with a final report. The preliminary data is remarkable. The collective has already begun creating new forms of expression based on their interactions with human culture. They're learning to feel. And we're learning from them too, Tai-Min said. Their knowledge could help us solve problems we didn't even know existed. As their transport ship prepared to depart for Earth, Tai-Min reflected on the journey that had brought him here. He had been captured as a primitive specimen, sold as expensive property, and studied as a curiosity. But in the end, his humanity had proved to be exactly what the galaxy needed. The auction that was meant to sell him as cargo had instead introduced the universe to its newest and most unpredictable partners. And sometimes, Tai-Min thought, unpredictability was the most valuable thing of all.